I get so many questions on glues, and there's so many different products available on the market today. It's no wonder it's confusing to people starting out in woodworking. Hello everyone, Colin Canet here for Woodworkweb. Today we're going to talk about all the different glues, and in 5 minutes I'm going to give you a primer, make you an expert on the kind of glues that you need to use in your workshop. So the first glue I want to talk about today is something called PVA glue, polyvinyl acetate. This glue has been around for almost 100 years. It was invented in Germany in 1916, so it's tried and true, and it's used in almost every woodworking shop because it's reasonably priced and it keeps well for months and even for years. Where we use this kind of glue is when you're working with natural woods and you're gluing boards together, and we're gluing long grain to long grain. We're always gluing long grain to long grain. Gluing edge grain to edge grain, no matter what glue you're using, is not always ideal. So we'll talk about that more in a minute. So long grain to long grain, you might be gluing like this, you might be gluing like this, you might be gluing like this. This is the most popular glue for that, PVA yellow glue. The next most popular woodworking glue is something called polyurethane glue, and I don't have a bottle of it here, and the reason I don't have a bottle of it here is because it doesn't have very good keeping qualities. So if you're going to be purchasing this glue, buy the smallest quantity that you can get away with using, because if you let it sit for too long, it gets hard and is not usable. But where we use polyurethane glue, Gorilla Glue, and those kinds of glues, is when we're gluing, in this case we've got some plywood, and if you're gluing plywoods together, particularly if you're gluing some end grains, that's where this glue excels because it doesn't soak into the wood like a PVA glue. This wood sort of soaks into the wood, especially the edge grain. And when you're gluing, for example, if you're making cabinets, you're making carcasses for cabinets, this is the perfect glue for that. You can also use it for gluing flat grain, for long grain. And even edge grain, it will give you some gluing properties. So polyurethane, a very good glue. The next glue I want to talk about is something called hot melt glue, and they come in sticks like this. I'm sure you've seen them, and you need some kind of a heating machine that will heat them up, and then when you push the trigger down here, it comes out the end. And this, I use this more for temporary bonding, particularly if I'm doing jigs and I need something that I can glue quickly and will hold very fast. So this, once it heats up and you put the glue on, when you put the two pieces of wood or whatever you're working with together, it bonds almost instantly. So it's a great, real quick fix or real quick gluing job. So don't forget about hot melt. It's a great little product. From time to time, I use in the workshop something called epoxy, and it's also referred to as 5-minute epoxy. And the reason I use this is because it dries and hardens very quickly, in this case 5 minutes, and it's a very strong glue. It also happens to work for not just glue, or not just woods, but it works on a lot of plastics, metals. It'll glue almost anything to anything. So it's a really good all-purpose glue. One of the questions that I had when I was first starting off in woodworking is, should I use a really strong glue? Like, should I use an outdoor glue, even though it's for an indoor project, because an outdoor glue would probably be stronger? Well, not necessarily. Even a PVA glue, if you glue boards together, end grain to end grain or long grain to long grain, when you try and break that board apart, most often the wood will fail before the glue fails. So this ordinary PVA is a very strong glue. But there are outdoor glues. And there's sort of two veins of outdoor glues. There's an outdoor glue, like you could use Gorilla Glue, for example, a polyurethane glue. You could use that outside because it's waterproof. There are also versions of PVA type glues that you can use outside. Now, they are waterproof glues, but a PVA glue that's more an outdoor glue, it doesn't harden, it doesn't get as hard as an indoor glue, and that's because all products that need to be an outdoor product, even paints for example, they usually don't dry permanently and hard. They're often a little bit flexible because the weather, because the wood, whatever you're using, is expanding and contracting, so that glue needs to expand and contract a little bit as well. It also needs to be water repellent. So outdoor glues are really best left to outdoor projects. So that's our quick look at glues. And to summarize that, the way to choose a glue is to first of all decide what it is exactly that you're gluing. If you're working with natural woods, PVA glues are going to do probably 90% of what you need. You may also need from time to time polyurethane glues, and of course there's some of the specialty glues for some of the specialty jobs that we're doing. So, I'm Colin Canet for Woodworkweb. Thanks for watching.